Hello everyone and welcome back to Q the Game Dev. In this tutorial we're going to be learning how to do simple pathfinding AI for a 3D game. Now one thing, this is based off my FPS series. This is kind of a part 2.5, so if you want to check out my FPS series, make sure to check it out. I'll have a card in the top right, or you can just go directly to my channel. And also very quickly, if you're a complete beginner to game development, check the link in the description and check out a free course that I'm talking about. But anyways, back straight into the tutorial. Now as a setup, I have a simple scene set up. I don't want to waste time setting up because it's so simple. But what I have here is an enemy. And this enemy is a 3D box object. And basically what I did, I added a new object and then I put 3D box. I kept everything the default and I just filled in the face images with whatever face images that I wanted to. And that's all that I did for that enemy. And then all I did was I dragged that enemy on scene. Right now the enemy looks like that box. So for now we're going to delete this box. But right here we have the enemy. Now, if we preview the scene, let's see what happens if we preview. Now, preview is going to take a little bit to load. But once it does finally load up, you'll see we have our first-person shooter that we were making earlier. But then we can shoot things. Of course, we haven't programmed it so we can delete the enemy. But what we want to happen is this enemy is supposed to always be following our player. No matter what we're doing, it's supposed to be following us. That's what we want for the enemy AI. Now, when it comes to enemy AI, if you've ever used pathfinding AI in 2D, it's very similar to that. All we need to do is one little tweak. So what we're going to do is double click into our enemy, and then we're going to go into behaviors, and then we're going to add a new behavior. And all I have to do is type in pathfinding. Let's click pathfinding, and you'll see that move objects to a target while avoiding all objects that are flagged as obstacle. Now, we're not going to be using the flagged obstacles in this part because this is simple pathfinding. But here we have it. We can click pathfinding. And we'll have several settings. We have the acceleration, which is basically how fast our enemy will reach its top speed. And then we have the max speed, which is very low right now. Of course, this is self-explanatory. You also have the angle offset. Basically, it sets it as an offset from its normal angle, which is 0. And then we have rotation speed. And we also have a checkbox to rotate the object. Now, for our case, we don't want to rotate the object so it's always facing the player because we're just using a cube. But depending on your sprite that you're using for the enemy, you would want to keep this on to rotate the object along with this angle. But we're going to set this off. Now, virtual cell width and virtual cell height, as well as the grid offset. Now, the grid offset is definitely not important unless you're making a complicated game, so we're not going to go into this. But the virtual cell width and cell height, basically, the lower this number is, the higher this number is, I believe. I don't want to get mixed up, but the more precise the movements are. Basically, the cell height just makes the movement more precise, but you cannot tell the difference from the naked eye anyway. It's just really for performance. So we're not going to worry about this right now. And then we have some advanced options, not really necessary. We're just going to hit apply because this is a basic pathfinding tutorial. Now, what we want to do is make the enemy always follow the player, or in this case, the camera. So what are we going to do? We're going to go into our events, and we're going to add an event. Now, I already have an event group named Enemy Pathfinding, but all you have to do is add a new event and go from there. But the condition here is going to be blank because we want this to always happen, so we're not going to make a condition here. So we're going to keep it blank, and then we're going to add an action. Now, we want to click into our enemy because we want to access pathfinding, and then we're going to scroll down until we find the pathfinding. Now, when it comes to pathfinding, we can make it move to a position. So we're going to click that, move to a position. And the destination X position is going to be the camera.x. Basically, it's going to move towards our player / camera. And the destination Y position, if you can already predict, is going to be camera.y because we want to move to our Y position now. So I'm going to click OK. And now let's preview. And we already should have an enemy that's kind of moving towards us now. So you can see this enemy is moving towards us, which is exactly what we want. No matter where we move, no matter where we're facing, this enemy will always keep moving towards us. Now, one thing is, if we jump around, it's not matching our movement. And that's not good because remember, this pathfinding is normally meant for a 3D, not 3D. It's normally meant for a 2D game when you're using these behaviors because GDevelop is 2D. So we have to make some accommodations for it since it's in 3D. Now, let's say you have a bat enemy. Let's pretend this box is a bat. You'll want this bat to always be following the player, even on Z-axis. So what we want to do is make the Z position of the enemy to always be equal to the Z position of the camera. And if we want to, we can also set an offset if that doesn't look right. So let's do that. So we're going to keep the condition blank because we want this to always happen as well. And we're going to add another action here. And we're going to click into the enemy and we're going to type in Z position. And then let's set the Z position as being equal to camera.z. And remember, you can only access this on a 3D object. So if your object is not 3D, this is not going to work. So let's hit preview now and let's see how that looks. See how that looks. It's going to load up soon. 3, 2, 1, and we have it loaded up. So you'll see also now if we jump, you can't even tell that I'm jumping almost. You can't even tell that I'm jumping. And I thought there was a problem with the events, but there's actually no problem. I actually am jumping where I press space, but since this is the only object on the scene, and this Z position always is set to the same as mine, you can't even tell that I'm jumping. But I am pressing space right now, and it's matching up with me. So for now, I'm also going to place a box in the scene, just so we can tell that we're actually jumping at the player, because that can be pretty weird looking, but since we actually can't tell that we're jumping. But we preview now. You see when I jump, the box is not moving, but the enemy is also matching my Z position when I'm doing this. So now we have the enemy matching up. And one more thing, we want to make it so when our bullet touches the enemy gets destroyed. And this is extremely simple to make. We're going to add a new event, and the condition, of course, if the bullet is in collision with enemy. We're going to add a condition, we're going to click bullet, and then we're going to type in collision. And we're going to want to put collision in 3D because these are both 3D objects. So we're going to put if bullet is in collision with the enemy, that's the condition. And then the action should be delete the enemy. So we're going to click into our action, then click into enemy, type in delete, and then we're going to delete the object. And let's see what happens now. When our bullet touches our enemy, the enemy should be deleted. So we're going to run this once again. We can shoot the box, and then the enemy, we can also shoot that, and it will be deleted. And that is how you do basic enemy pathfinding AI in GDevelop. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss on any new the Game Dev tutorials. If you want part 2, make sure to put it down below in the comments. And as always, make sure to say what tutorials you would like to see next. We're going to be exploring a lot more with 3D in the future, so make sure to put your tutorial requests down in the comments below, and I may be able to get to a few of them, but no promises, but I hope to get to a few tutorial requests. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next tutorial. See ya.